Welcome to an exclusive hour-long programme with me, Alex Belfield, talking to one of my favourite people, Jimmy Carr. How are you?
I can't believe your luck. Yeah, I'm here. Good, really good. Christmas time, lovely. God, I quite like Christmas. I like the whole sort of thing of going out and buying stuff and giving people presents and things.
And you're also in the category where you can make money out of us, which is brilliant.
You often go on shows and people go, you've got a DVD out, it's just before Christmas, like that's a shock. But of course, that's the time of year when most people buy these things. And I think the reason for it is partly for gifts, partly because you know that between Christmas and New Year is the longest week of the year. It's extraordinary, isn't it? You go, end of Christmas dinner, you go, brilliant, I'll be back at work in is it 8 days? What are we doing? Eating nuts and watching TV? What, for 8 days? Yeah. And that's all we're doing? Yeah. Weirdly, that is all we're doing. So yeah, it's a great time of year for watch. I think you sell a lot after Christmas when people just go, I've got to watch something. And then they're fun things to watch with a family as well. I mean, not necessarily with the younger kids for mine or the grandparents, unless you've got an inheritance and you want to kind of push them over the edge a little bit. If they're easily shocked, bit of a heart condition, stick on the extras on my DVD, they'll be gone.
You're going to have to give me a second because I've left my piece of paper over the other side of the studio with the name of the DVD on it. It's very complicated.
It's called The Impossibility of Death in the Eyes of the Living. That sculpture by Damon Hirst. Mine's called Comedian. It's literally... What? Do you know what? Do you know why I called it Comedian? You don't want to be messing with people's minds. They've got enough to be thinking about. People have got busy lives. They've got jobs. They've got their taxes due. They're driving to... what? Should I have the lights on? Is there fog? It's icy this time of year. The kids, are they going to go to a good school? What's Jimmy Carr's DVD called? Comedian. I've kept it simple for you. You don't have to worry about it.
Who's your audience? Because I watched the DVD and I love the last two as well. You're so smart and you give value for money. There's probably more gags in your show per minute.
I think I do. I do about 3 a minute. It works out over the DVD. And the DVD is kind of edited down as well. So even more so than a live show, it's bang, 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 bang. But that's what I always liked about live shows. I always liked the idea of a comedy show being all killer, no filler. There's no chat. It's just bang, 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 doing gags and lots of stuff with the audience.
Was that on your press release, by the way? All killer, no filler.
All killer, no filler.
I like that.
Yeah, no, I think that's that'd be originally a gangster rap term, but I mean, I know I've been out of the rap game for years now. I'm like JC. We're both from the home county.
You've only got to see you to know that you're terribly smart and you're better than us, you're cleverer than us, and you look cleaner than all of us. Congratulations.
None of that is true. I present myself as well as I can. I think there is a phrase, you can't polish a turd. I disagree. I feel that you can, and I feel that a man never looks any better than in a suit. I'm merely putting the best foot forward. So I always try and dress smartly, and I speak in a way. I'm educated beyond my intellect, is what I am. I'm not smarter than anyone. I'm a little bit... I was lucky enough to get a good education, and I think I wear it on my sleeve.
So why don't you do a proper job then if you're so clever?
A proper job? I tried it for a while. I didn't like it. I like this kind of grift. Well, I mean, it's all relative, though, isn't it? I mean, there'll be psychiatric nurses and plumbers listening to this thinking, I've got a proper job. Who is that? A DJ asking that question? Sorry, a DJ? I'm a stand-up. I've got a proper job. You really are a chancer.
How do you think of all your stuff?
Yeah, it's the frontal cortex, isn't it? Yeah, no, writing jokes is an interesting one. I think if you write jokes, it's sort of like crossword puzzles. You see them everywhere once you get into that mindset. I'm constantly writing, so I write every day. Just note down a couple of things every day, little and often. And then eventually at the end of that, you have an hour-long show. And so it's a different show every year as well, because I'm on tour now. From August to August, I do a 12-month tour, 150 dates around the UK. That has to be different from the DVD. You can't have people buying your DVD for Christmas and then going to see you live and going, I've heard this? Because it's just, you can't do. I've had that experience. It's not nice.
And you're one of those comedians where you hear people passing on your jokes in the pub, so you couldn't really do the same show for 10 years. It wouldn't work, would it?
No, that's the most gratifying thing. The nicest thing, actually, is when you stick around after a gig. I always stick around after the gigs if I possibly can to sign things and say hello to people, because it just seems polite. I feel a bit like a sort of a country vicar after a wedding. Lovely service. Nice to see you again. You sort of recognise people year on year. But the most pleasant, people often tell me jokes. Often they'll tell me my jokes back. Well, they'll tell me a joke from my first DVD. Like, you'll like this one. Yeah, I did like it. It's exactly my sense of humour, that. Thanks.
Something happened to me earlier, and I thought of you when it happened. I was stood at the tube station at King's Cross. One of the guys who worked there, his buzzer went, and he said, VIP arriving platform 4. And I said, why would a VIP be using the tube? And he looked at me and went, no, visually impaired person. As if I was a complete thicko. No, it's obviously not funny. All right, let's just play a piece of music. That went down like a bomb, didn't it? Thanks.
But it's the radio. What are you expecting? People are probably literally splitting their sides.
I've been laughing at you for the last 5 minutes. Why can't you laugh at one of my jokes?
It sort of doesn't work like that, does it? It's sort of about funniness.
All right, let's play a piece of music. Forget it.
Should we play quite a depressing piece? We seem to have ended on sort of a low there. It's like, so a visually impaired person gets off the tube. There's a lot funnier things that could happen in that scenario.
Let's play the music.
All right.
We're back on your favourite local radio station with Jimmy Carr, a man who is extremely funny and extremely outrageous at the same time. But I don't hear people saying you're Jim Davidson, Chubby Brown, or the blessed Bernard Manning.
I thought he was a terrible comedian, terrible timing, but obviously it's, sad for family and friends when a fat man dies. I don't know. I mean, it's a weird thing where I just think people get the fact that I'm joking and it's wordplay and I don't mean it. I think there's a big difference between comedians that sort of have an agenda of kind of homophobia and racism as opposed to people that tell jokes about edgy subjects and talk about things. And I think people are quite capable of making that decision. I'm trying to be as close as I can be to the guy in the pub telling you a joke. You know when you've got friends joking about things, and you'll often joke about stuff that's in the news that you maybe shouldn't joke about, and you might even complain about if you saw it on the BBC. But in the pub, it's fine. And in a live comedy show, I think it's great. Also, I think it depends on the arena. The medium is the message. Isn't that the great Marshall McLellan quote? God bless the Canadians. On the radio, there are certain jokes you can't tell. I've got into trouble for telling jokes on the radio because people didn't ask to listen to me. They're listening to that local radio, that Jimmy Carr fella seems to be on. Well, I can't be bothered to change the station because I like the station, but I don't like him. And then if you tell a joke that's very offensive, they might be, really upset. Whereas if it's a DVD or a live show, they've made a conscious decision. You have to take offence.
I would agree, absolutely. Your show isn't like a BNP rally. Having seen Bernard and Chubby and just interviewing Jim Davidson last week, it's interesting he now spends the first 40 minutes of his act explaining his act. It is interesting, though, having watched Ricky Gervais's brand new DVD, I don't quite understand how he gets away with it because he's basically laughing at all different minorities and groups and disabled people, but because he's a character, people seem to let him get away with it, but actually it's equally as offensive.
I don't think he's getting away with anything. I think he's a great comedian. He's really funny, and he's clearly not a bigot. I think it's just the big difference is your perception of Bernard Manning, whether he was or not, and I think he probably was he was a bigot. The perception of Jim Davidson, on that cookery show, whatever it was this man actually seems to be a bit homophobic. No one minds telling a joke about something, but if you mean that, if there's a message behind that joke, then that can be a very dangerous thing.
I would disagree with you slightly on the Jim Davidson thing with the programme. I'm not justifying his act, but I think he was set up on that show, and the way it was edited, if it was so offensive, why did they repeat it 40 times and make it last 2 nights? Why didn't they just delete it and kick him off?
Yeah, I can see. I mean, yeah, you can always dress that up, though, can't you? On a reality TV show, I think the edit is important, but I've worked on TV shows with that kind of turnaround edit. There isn't time for that. They're genuinely, it's not possible to do that. It's you basically you have some stuff that happened that day and you show it that night. There isn't time to sit down and go, right, what stories are we telling here? On that kind of show, you know what? If you say something bigoted and you say it aggressively, depends what you follow it up with.